Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about why Ford is still the #1 truck brand in America. Before we get in the video though, I do want to mention if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, I'm going to leave a link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Check it out. Let's get right into the video. So to illustrate the success of Ford, we have to talk about how many units the other truck makers have sold in the first quarter of 2022. So first off, the GMC Sierra has sold 56,000 units, or over 56,000 units so far. Chevy Silverado, over 118,000 units. Ram pickup trucks, over 127,000 units. And then the F-Series, over 140,000 units. Now, I know some clever people in the comment section down below are going to be like, well, if you combine the Silverado sales with the GMC Sierra sales, then that'll be more than the F-Series sales. And yes, you are in fact correct on that one. However, Ford this year has had a decline in sales of 31% because of supply chain issues. Ram has declined 15%. And then in terms of Chevy and GMC, GMC has seen some decline with the Sierra 1500s, but across the board with both of those brands, they haven't seen the same declines that Ram and Ford have seen. And I'll talk about why I think that is towards the end of the video. But the point that we're trying to make is, why is Ford still #1? What are they doing that makes it so that they're more successful than the other truck makers? And it's a number of things. So first off, brand loyalty. This is huge with pickup trucks. And since Ford has been around for the longest, right, they just have so much brand loyalty associated with their pickup trucks. And so there's people that will just always buy Fords. It doesn't matter what the truck looks like. It doesn't matter what the truck has. There's some people that'll just buy them no matter what. And same thing with Chevy and same thing with Ram. It just seems like that group of people for Ford is just a little bit bigger, which makes sense because, again, the brand is a little bit older. Now, aside from brand loyalists, you also have big contract deals. And this is where Ford does a really good job. And the other manufacturers do a solid job with this too, but not as good as Ford. Ford has built out these business deals over literally a century. And these business deals are so, these business ties are so strong that there are businesses that will only buy Fords for eternity at this point, it seems like. And so that obviously helps boost Ford's sales because they have these businesses that are going to continually buy vehicles from them every single year, no matter what. And so that's another thing that goes in Ford's favor. The last thing that, in my opinion, is the most important to the regular consumer is the fact that Ford gives so many different options in terms of what you can get with their trucks. And because of all these different options, it makes it so that they can attract different types of buyers. So you look at the current F-Series lineup, and we'll start with the Super Duties, and then we'll kind of go from the Super Duties down to the half tons, because the half tons are the most popular trucks to purchase. So going into the Super Duties, right? You've got a gas powertrain and you've got a diesel powertrain. You've got the F-250 and the F-350, right? The F-250 has a lower payload capacity. The F-350 has a higher payload capacity. And then with the F-350, you can get it in a dually configuration. Then obviously there's the 450, 550, 650, all that kind of stuff. But the point that I'm trying to make is there's so many different customizable options with those. But I will say in today's current market, Ford does about the same as GM and as Ram, aka Stellantis, right? In terms of customization with their heavy duty trucks. And so that's not really what's setting them too far apart. But again, they still offer several different powertrains, and there's so many different configurations from a payload capacity perspective to a towing capacity perspective that it just, keeps Ford in line. And also they have a crazy diesel powertrain, right? The Power Stroke now has 475 horsepower and 1,050 pound-feet of torque. Yeah, Ram has more torque, but the Cummins doesn't feel nearly as quick from an acceleration perspective. And also the Power Stroke being paired to that new 10-speed automatic transmission just makes it feel great to drive. Now popping to the F-150, this is where Ford really shines in my personal opinion. And it makes sense that this is where they shine because this is the most popular segment of pickup trucks. People purchase F-150s more than any other type of Ford truck, and people just purchase half tons more than any other type of truck in general. So first off, they offer a ton of different engine options, and they offer different engine options that are so different that it attracts just so many different types of buyers. So first off, you have on the smaller side of things, like the 2.7 EcoBoost. So if someone just wants a good fuel economy engine, you got that. You got the 3.5 EcoBoost. If someone wants a nice, powerful engine, and that's the most popular engine because it has a solid towing capacity, gets good fuel economy, and it's quick to accelerate. And now we have the power boost. So if someone wants, lots of power and good fuel economy, right? There you go. And we have the new F-150 Lightning coming out that hasn't really hit dealership lots yet, but will in the future, which is fully electric. So if you want an EV truck, Ford has that too. And then they still offer their 5.0 V8 that you can get in their trucks. And so if you are a V8 purist, Ford has a truck for you. And so the point that I'm trying to make is they have everyone covered from a powertrain perspective. And then also with their interiors, right? If you want a base model truck, they have a base model truck, the XL. And then if you want a fully loaded truck, you've got the Limited. And then on top of that, they have so many different packages in between, right? You've got like the XLT, for example, and you've got different packages on the XLT where you can make it look sportier or you can make it look more luxury-like. Same thing with the Lariat, same thing with the King Ranch and the Platinum and Limited and everything. There's just so many different packages, so many different options. And because of all the customization, right, it means that there's more buyers that the truck will end up working for. And if you look at the other big truck makers, Ram, and you look at Chevy, right, they've got a lot of customization too, and they have different engine options, but their engine options and customization doesn't seem to be as broad as what Ford has, especially from an engine option perspective. You look at Ram, for example, and you've got the 5.7 Hemi, you've got the 3.6-liter V6, you have the EcoDiesel, which Ford doesn't have a diesel anymore in their half tons, which is kind of interesting. And then you look at the heavy duties, right? You've got the Cummins and the 6.4 Hemi. So on a heavy duty perspective, I feel like Ram's pretty equal to Ford, except they don't have a crazy V8 like Ford does, because Ford still has that 7.3 Godzilla engine, which is an absolute blast. But aside from that, Ram doesn't offer any crazy high performance engine in their half tons unless you get a TRX, which is a specialized vehicle, right? You don't have a power boost, or you don't have just, any sort of engine like that. You just have V8s with the Rams, and some people love that, and those people will buy the Rams, but there's some people that want a different type of engine, right? And that's for the time being, because Ram is releasing a turbocharged engine in the near future, so I guess we'll have to make another video once that comes out. And then you look at GM, right, and they do have several different engine options. They have that turbocharged 4-cylinder, which people buy them, but there's a lot of controversy with that engine. And then you've got the two different V8s that are a mainstay, and then you have the Duramax diesel with the half tons. And so there's different engine options, but again, they don't have a more powerful turbocharged engine, which a lot of people want nowadays. They don't have a hybrid option, right? And I also should have mentioned Ram doesn't have that either. And as of right now, Ford is the only brand that has a fully electric truck. There will be a Ram EV and there will be a Silverado EV in the future, but as of right now, there is nothing. And so there's just not as much offered with the other brands. And so again, pulls more buyers over to the F-Series. Quickly touch on the point about the GMC Sierra and the Chevy Silverado and as to why I don't think they've had as big of a decline as Ram and as Ford. I think it just ultimately comes to supply before the supply issues happened. So before we had all these supply chain issues, people were buying Fords and Rams like crazy, and Chevy and GM were declining in sales, but they were still producing a lot of vehicles. And so I think that they just had a little bit more inventory backlogged, basically, because people just weren't purchasing the trucks. And so then once people couldn't get a hold of a Ram or a Ford, they went and bought a GM or a Chevy, and so then it's kind of like boosted those two brands up, and so they haven't had as big of a decline as Ford and Ram. That's just my personal guess on the whole situation. Also, kind of what I saw on dealer lots where there was just like GMCs and Silverados stacked up like crazy, and Rams and Fords, there wasn't as many in inventory even before the supply issues. But I want you guys to let me know what you think about this topic with the, just F-Series in general, why you think it's the most popular truck, and I guess to kind of like come full circle and summarize, the reason why it is the most popular truck from everything that I have researched into is there are a ton of different options you can get with the F-150 from an engine perspective and an interior perspective that basically, and also if it doesn't have an engine, because you have the EV Ford, you have the Ford Lightning. But anyways, so many different options, so there's more buyers that can look into buying an F-Series versus the other brands. And then they have these contract deals with different companies that have been around for so long, and unless GM and unless Ram can somehow steal some of those contract deals, they're never going to be able to surpass Ford in vehicle sales. And the brand's just been around for longer, and so it has just more brand loyalty in general, and that'll sum things up. I'll see you guys.